So we see next situation and picture that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin is threatening Ukraine, Europe and the whole world. How will Donald Trump react on these threats, and will his strange shuttle diplomacy lead to anything? This and other topics we'll discuss right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and Michael Sheitelman, political strategist, today is with us. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining.
Glad to see you, Iryna. Hi.
What is your reaction to Donald Trump's statements that the recent US-Russia talks between Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner and Russian dictator Putin and his advisor Yuri Ushakov, so on, Kirill Dmitriev, were very good, and that Vladimir Putin gave an impression he wants to end the war? Because we see another interview by Vladimir Putin to one of the Indian TV channel where Russian dictator's statement sounds like every year of his full-scale war and of all this almost 12 years of Russian war against Ukraine, that I want all Donbas region, I will fight for Donbas region, and I will make pressure on Ukrainian forces. So we see that Putin doesn't want to stop his war. But Donald Trump, I don't know why, maybe you can advise me, see another picture.
Yeah, let's make long story long this time, not short, but long. Because it worth it.
Yes.
This week, it was the week of this meeting in Kremlin between Jared Kushner, Steven Witkoff, and Putin and his team. And before of this meeting, by the way, it was meeting number 6 between Steven Witkoff and Vladimir Putin. And before this meeting, I gave my forecast, published my forecast about this meeting. And forecast was very, very just something very usual, and you could say it was very easy to predict what could happen after this meeting. I was absolutely sure that both sides of this meeting, also the Kremlin side, not personally Putin, but his spokesperson or his advisors or his his other staff, they will come to journalists and will say that, great, we had a great negotiation, and all the discussions, in all the discussions, we come to the peace decisions, and we are ready to peace 100%. I was sure it will be like that. And I was sure also that Mr. Witkoff, at the same time, will call President Trump and say him that, okay, we got to the agreement with Putin, and tomorrow you could sign it in Budapest, in Alaska, or anyway. And I was sure that at the same day, it was on Monday, I believe, President Trump will publish some resume of this meeting on his social network, and he will say, wow, we have a peace, and I am immediately will meet Mr. Putin, or something like Zelensky have to meet with Putin immediately, something like that. I was sure. Why? Because 5 previous meetings, they ended with that. The only thing we did not see is the peace itself, or peace agreement. But the statements were always very positive. And I was sure that this time it will be the same, and it was my forecast. But immediately after the meeting, my forecast didn't work. Because Mr. Ushakov, who is the chief of staff of Putin or something like that, Putin's advisor, let's say, from his staff, he gave a huge press conference and big statement. And he said, no, we did not come to the peace agreement. We are not agreed to all of these points. We did not discuss any of these 28 points of American plan. We just discussed general agenda, but not the peace agreement. And these 2 guys, he said 2 guys about Witkoff and Kushner, these 2 guys brought some 5 different papers, and we discussed it, etc., 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 and we will continue war. It was the answer. So I understood, wow, just a second, something changed. That's the first time when we didn't hear any enthusiastic speeches about peace. But that's not enough. At the same time, then the meeting in Kremlin was appointed, President Putin did not come to the meeting. Instead of that, he came to some public event in some exhibition hall and also gave the speech. And he said that he is ready to start immediately a war against Europe. And not just a war, but he did not mention this word, but he meant nuclear war. Because he said during weeks we should destroy Europe totally and it will not exist more. So obviously he spoke about nuclear war and not any else war. So it was absolutely negative. And by the way, this delegation of Kushner and Witkov, they canceled the meeting with Zelensky in Brussels the same day, because obviously they did not have anything to say to Zelensky because they did not come forward with this agreement. But in 24 hours after that, President Trump says what you just mentioned, that this delegation saw that Putin wants a peace. That is really Kafkianian situation. President Putin says, I don't want peace. I want a war. I will continue this war till I capture all the regions of Ukraine. And he said, what is his conditions? All the Ukrainian army should withdraw from all the Ukrainian territory. By the way, nobody mentioned Donbass. Mr. Putin did not mention Donbass in his speech. And today, when he gave the interview to Indian TV channel India Today, he said that Ukraine should withdraw not only from Donbass, but also from the region which is called Novorossiya. And Novorossiya, it is something very, very widespread and very, very unlimited and very, very undefined. This is something like all the southern part of Ukraine, including Odessa, Nikolaev, and a lot of regions. So Putin says, I don't want peace, I want a war. I want not only the war with Ukraine, but I want a war with Europe. And Trump says Putin wants peace. That's unbelievable. But by the way, my forecast again worked, yeah? Trump listened to the Putin and says something which is absolutely vice versa. And you should be very good manipulator or very stupid person. I don't know what is your choice about Mr. Trump, to say that Putin wants a peace. Because for Putin to receive a peace, he does not need just anything. He just should to stop his army. And the peace will come immediately. Just immediately. At the same second, the peace will be in Ukraine. When Mr. Putin stop shooting. Yeah, that's it. So to say now that Putin wants a peace is to try to work on everybody in the world, on everybody, to manipulate with all the governments of all the world. And I don't see any sense in this statement of President Trump. More of that. He says, yeah, Putin wants a peace, but for tango we need two. You remember, yeah, this sentence. And I thought, you have Witkov and Kushner. What else you need? I don't know.
Yes, we see that Putin talks about attacks against Europe, and in direct speech, I say also that we must hear what announcements Russian dictator makes, because then he can realize it. But we see that Europe is still weak, it seems to me, because they cannot decide a problem with freezing Russian money, because Belgium is afraid of Putin's different blackmails again and again. And Europe shows Putin that he can make a scale of his war bigger, or how?
Well, I should mention Belgium especially, because this speech by Prime Minister of Belgium, it is very interesting.
Yes.
I should say at the beginning that Prime Minister of Belgium, he is big friend of Ukraine, by the way. He is not on the Putin side. He is not like Prime Minister Orban of Hungary or somebody else. No, he's absolutely friend of Ukraine, and he wants to help Ukraine. And he says, we don't want to give this money to Ukraine, but we are ready to give money to Ukraine. And I believe, says Prime Minister of Belgium, that we should finance Ukrainian expenses on this war. Yeah. So he is absolutely our friend and our ally. Yeah. But at the same time, he says we can't take the Russian money, which Russians put in Europe and in Belgium especially, because not the threats of Mr. Putin. No. Because of the courts of Mr. Putin, because of Russian courts' decisions in the future. But in the future, some Russian Federation courts could make a decision about this money, that this money should be transferred to Russian Federation. And it is absolutely misunderstanding of what Russia is. Prime Minister of Belgium speaks about Russia like this is like a normal state, like Russia is a part of world economy, or Russia is a part of, I don't know, of world law, yeah, of world order. But Russia is not a part of world civilization order. Russia is rather a terroristic organization, not the usual country or usual state. And if Prime Minister of Belgium speaks about the future, in the future time, yeah, in the future we will have the problem with Russian Federation. So in the future we have only two options. One option, Russia comes back to the world order, to the world laws, to international laws, to United Nations, etc. In this case, Russia pays the reparation to Ukraine, and there is no problem about money. And another choice is Russia does not come to be normal country again, and Russia is still terroristic organization. So what do you mean about courts in Russia? You should hear the court decision of Russian Federation, and what do you think about court decision of Hamas, for example? Hamas also have a court, and Hamas, for example, could sentence somebody with death penalty. Should you give this person to Hamas for death penalty or not from Belgium? It is very, very naive, let's say, very naive view of the future, I believe. Very naive view of the future. But I mentioned that this guy is our big friend. I don't want to say any bad words about this guy, about weaknesses, you say, or something. I believe this is absolute misunderstanding of the future, absolute misunderstanding of what is current Russia and what about this war is. For example, Mr. Prime Minister of Belgium, he says, Europe not in war with Russian Federation. But Russian Federation says we are in war with NATO. We are now in war with NATO, not in the future, currently. So Russia believes they are in the war, and Belgium believes they are not in the war. And if we could say that it is dangerous situation, so it is dangerous not for Russians, but for Belgians.
Really, court and Russia in one sentence on ridiculous things.
Exactly. But if we ask today this Prime Minister of Belgium, I'm sorry that I don't remember his name. I'm very sorry. Really.
De Wever.
Yeah. Okay. So he could check, what is last decisions of the Russian court, by the way. And last decisions of the Russian court, for example, is that hundreds of Russian immigrants, they are terrorists and extremists. And the anti-corruption organization of Russian Federation, anti-corruption foundation of Russian Federation, they are terroristic organization. This is the decision of Russian court. And they have also other decision of Russian court that Taliban is not terroristic organization, but the anti-corruption foundation of Russian Federation is a terroristic organization. And a lot of culture people, singers, writers, novelists, they are terrorists. Part of them, by the way, they live in Belgium, they live in Europe, and they are terrorists. If we follow the Russian courts. So why you should mention Russian court. If you mention the future, Russian court in the future, so in this bright future, when Russian courts, they are legitimated courts, so they should pay reparation by the decision of United Nations, and we have this decision of United Nations, by the way.
So, Michael, according to your first answer to my question, and according to this statement and our opinion, it seems to me that Donald Trump also does not understand the very meaning of Putin's imperial ambitions at all. And he also faces a choice to put pressure on us or on Russia, or maybe even withdraw the United States from negotiation process. Who and how should help Donald Trump choose the right path and fair play?
No, I don't believe that President Trump does not understand anything. I believe it about Prime Minister of Belgium. I believe that part of European leaders, not all of them, but part of European leaders, they live on the sky, they live on some fantasies, they live in the past. They live in the past Europe, in the Europe of 90s, 80s, 70s, I don't know, on the Europe of the beginning of this century, but now we are living in just another world. And President Trump absolutely understands that, because President Trump is the part of this new world, is the leader of this new world. He is not the leader of free world, he is not the leader of liberal world, he is not the leader of Western world, but President Trump, he is the leader of this new reality. This is new reality. Right. It was started by Putin when international law does not exist. What exists is only business. We make only business, not anything personal and not anything lawful. Yes. We don't have any United Nations, we don't have any laws, we have only business. And this is the attitude of President Putin, and we have only a military force. We have military force. Who has more military forces? This is called cards, as you remember, yeah? President Trump called it cards. You have cards or you don't have cards. And then he says cards, he never mean Western values, for example. Western values is not cards. And Bible, Holy Bible is not card, absolutely. But the missiles, this is cards. This is for example, souvenir card of Ukrainian company, Firepoint. This is Ukrainian company, Firepoint. I was some press conference, this is the Ukrainian company who produces cruise missiles, which is called Flamingo. This is the Flamingo. And they made this symbolic production. This is made from rubber, but it was like a souvenir for journalists and on press conference. Why? Because this is like the statement that Ukraine now has the cards. Mr. Trump, now Ukraine has the cards. Now Ukraine has a cruise missiles. But really, Mr. Trump, President Trump and President Putin, they built this new world of only military force and only money. You have only money and military force. That's it. You don't have any institutions. Who is these guys who went to negotiate with Putin? Who are they? One of them is the husband of President Trump's daughter. And another one is the friend from golf club. That's it. They don't have any official positions. They don't pass any security checks. They don't pass through Congress or Senate approval. So they are nobody. They are nobody. And now they try to negotiate with Ukrainians. And it is very dangerous to negotiate with them, to Ukrainian side, because we negotiate with them and they don't have any obligation about American law. They could say our secrets to Russians, and they sent these secrets to Russians. We know that. We know that from the transcripts of the conversation of Stephen Witkoff with surrounding of President Putin. And he lent the total Ukrainian secret to Russians. Absolutely. For example, the date and time of meeting of Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky, with President Trump. This information come to Russians from Stephen Witkoff. And today, by the way, this night will be the second round of negotiation between Vitkov, Kushner, and Ukrainian representatives. And where? What is the place? What is the venue of this negotiation? It is not White House. It is not Congress. It is not the normal place of meetings. This is private golf club of Steven Vitkov. And we don't know who is Russian spies who sit around this table. Why the negotiation, the most important negotiation in 21st century, happens in private golf club of Steven Vitkov, of nobody. And by the way, this is the only situation when I agree with Mr. Putin advisor, Mr. Ushakov, when he says he called them two guys who come to Kremlin with peace plan. Two guys. He didn't say American representatives, American diplomats, these two guys. He didn't mention the names because it doesn't matter who is that. It is very strange, and this is the new world, this is the new reality. This is the new reality. And European choice now is to become the part of this new reality. Is Europe ready to become the part of this new reality? No, we are not ready because we don't have enough weapon to be a part of this new reality. That's it.
But this new reality is like a very dark place for us. Oh no, we can switch on these lights and make it fair and direct for us. How can we use this new reality? Only like due to strikes against Russian Federation war objects, yes, due to our missiles and due to our sanctions against Russian tankers, so on, in this case and way, path. This path.
More or less till now, we are behaving according to international law. More or less according to international law.
Yes.
Russians not, but we are, yes. Because we believe, till now, we believe that we should be with Europe, together with Europe, the island of stability, the island of international law. And we should be the part of Europe because alone we can't stay against Russia or against anybody else. And we should become European leaders. And I believe that now Ukraine one of European leaders. And today in journal Der Spiegel magazine,
Yes.
we could read the transcript of the phone conversation between President Zelensky, Chancellor Merz, President of Finland Stubb, and President of France Macron. And we could see here that this is the real opposition to United States. This is the real opposition against this new American policy, the policy about when some gangsters conduct negotiation with President Putin. Yeah, that is very bad reality. And these guys, who I mentioned now, we are not ready to be the part of this new world. And Ukraine between these new leaders, let's say. And we should, as a Europe, not as Ukraine, but as Europe, we should find the partners. Do we have partners anyway? I believe we could find partners in China, for example, because China is the enemy of United States. So why not to come to China and to say, okay, you are enemy of United States, we are your friends. And by the way, today, President Macron, he is in China today. And next week, Chancellor Merz goes to China. That is not circumstances. This is the real politics about China, I believe. So we are looking for this chance, I believe.
Yes, and Macron in China, Merz will visit China, but China still keep their position and call Russian-Ukrainian war crisis and say about negotiation, but we know that China helps Russian dictator Putin. And it's very comfortable really to China.
No. It is comfortable till, let's say, could we believe that United States, China, and Russia will form the new union, let's say, or political union, military? No. They should be the different parts of different military unions. It could be United States and Russia against China, or it could be Russia and China against United States, but not all of three of them together. So, in any of this configuration, we as Europe has a chance to find a partner. If it is United States against China and Russia, so we are partners of United States. But if it is United States and Russia against China, so we are partners of China. And in the next World War III, we will be China and Europe against Russia and United States. This is the new reality. And by the way, who wants peace really on this planet? Europe and China. China does not want any war. Chinese, they absolutely believe, by the way, usually they don't participate in war. After World War II, it is, okay, after the war in Tibet, it is difficult to mention any war then. Okay, war with Vietnam, it was something very local and very short during 1 month, yeah? But in global wars, China never participated, just never. And when they say we want to reunion with Taiwan, Taipei, for example, so they don't mean the military reunion, they mean peaceful reunion, like it happened with Hong Kong. And they believed they could do that. With soft power, they came into the Taiwan with soft power. So they believe in reunion by soft power, not by military power. So Europe and China does not want a war, and Russia and United States wants a war. So yeah, I believe that we have more common with China than with United States at this moment. But by the way, just 1 year ago, we had another United States with previous administration. So we also could presume that in 3 years we will have another United States with the next administration. It doesn't matter Republican or Democratic. I don't mean it should be Democratic. It doesn't matter for us. But it could be the administration which will be built on values and not interests.
Putin visits India. What are your expectations between Russia?
Well, it's not so important for us.
Really? But oil. India on second place buying Russian cruel oil.
Yeah, obviously, what is the target of President Putin? It is rather obvious. He should ask Modi to buy oil from Russia again, but I don't believe they have a lot of tools to change the position of Indians. And it depends on Trump position and not on this Putin visit, what I mean to say. Yeah, India is very important for us, but the visit is not important for us. Because the decision of Modi, of Indian government, it is decision which depends on the Trump policy and not on the Putin words or Putin negotiation or something like that.
Michael, thank you very much for this interesting conversation, for your thoughts and really new look to new geopolitical changes. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Iryna. Bye. Thank you.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Guys, thank you for joining and watching us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels, leave your comments and your hearts under our video. See you next week. Take care.